Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time we did a Gen 6 challenge as we went through to see if I could beat Pokemon Y with just a single Clefairy. Fun run, let's do something harder though. Today is the day we find out if I can beat Pokemon Platinum with just a single Cherubi. Okay, so we're working with a 275 base stat total here, which has a good chunk of that in our special attack. So we've got a good one of 62. Our special defense isn't bad at 53. Regular defense and HP are both at 45. Our speed and physical attack are the worst of the bunch at 35 each. So could be interesting. We are mono grass type, so 5 weaknesses to flying, poison, bug, fire and ice. That is 3 late game type specialists we have to face. As well as we have 4 resistances to ground, water, grass and electric with no immunities. Via level up we don't get much. Probably the best of our attacking moves is Magical Leaf, so that's going to be useful, it never misses. We do get Solar Beam, but it isn't without its drawbacks. Leech Seed might be useful early game, but stuff like Helping Hand, Worry Seed and Lucky Chant don't interest me. We get a good TM pull, don't we? Well, not really. Most of the best moves we can take advantage of are grass type. Giga Drain may be useful, but aside from Hidden Power, which may give coverage, the best other option is Return. We can get Swords Dance, so that may be an option, but it's not ideal. This challenge was submitted by Patreon Jason Cabanuk. The Mantike challenge mentioned here will probably be next year. Would have been this year, but I had my little August and September break. Something to look forward to. And my doggo is grand. As always folks, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Thanks for watching folks, the rules are on the screen throughout, and remember if you do enjoy what you see then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's get this on. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Turtwig with Cherubi so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Turtwig so that the rival will pick Chimchar, which will definitely be the hardest for us to fight. So yay for that later on. This is going to suck, I can tell. The opening bit to Platinum always makes me laugh with Rod's grand plan about how to avoid not having a Pokemon and going through the grass, hoping he makes it before being attacked. Anyway, we do have a rival battle early on, and this is pretty heartbreaking in how it ultimately turns out. So here's the thing, we just have Tackle, and well, we use it over and over and over and over again on Rod's Chimchar. We do it repeatedly, chopping its health down, and it just spams Leer over and over. And just for a moment, I think it's possible we may get rid of it. We've been hit with 6 Leers, we have it in knockout range, and we lose 3/4 of our health to a single scratch. One more hit would end it, but we miss the crucial Tackle and lose ingloriously. Oh dear. When I get the chance, I nickname the Cherubi Morello, and I look at what we are working with. Morello has the impish nature, which is a bit of a bad one since it is increased defense and lowered special attack. Mind you, more defense is handy, and well, special attack was something we could probably spare from. Not ideal, but I think whatever happened, I wasn't going to be happy, since I'll probably need to use the physical attack stat at some point, and a modest nature wouldn't have helped us there. Chlorophyll ability 2, so increased speed in Sunshine. Anyway, moving on. I go and train, looking to boost our EVs. I go to train up our special attack and speed, since I think they are the ones we will be looking to utilise. But that's what we've got to do. I can't really challenge the Rock Gym until level 19 when we get Magical Leaf. That will probably take it from an insurmountable challenge to a pleasant breeze, so we might as well train. The Rock Gym will be easy once we get that move. The Mars fight will probably be horrible. The Grass Gym could likely go either way. We will resist Gardenia's stab, but we're going to probably struggle to hurt her in exchange. Anyway then, there is a rival fight a lot later on after we've trained up a lot, and we've probably trained up enough at this point that he isn't really an issue. He begins with a Starly that he's caught since the last battle, and we immediately go on the offensive, taking it out with 2 tackles, getting hit with a quick attack in exchange. Chimchar comes in, shrugs off our tackle and starts to spam Leers, so I go for Leech Seed instead, and we start to do some chip damage, which in conjunction with our tackle attacks are soon enough to bring it down and we never get hurt. Probably the easiest fight in the game ahead then, as we go into the Rock battle in the Rock Gym. I'm using the word probably, but I don't see this going badly wrong at all. Just a feeling. We have Magical Leaf in hand, and that's going to be the difference, and voila! We shred through Geodude with the move, and it isn't too long before we do the same to Onyx shortly after. I did wonder if Cranidos would outspeed, but it does not, and we bring that down with Magical Leaf as well. What probably won't be an easy fight though is the Windworks Mars fight, as she has a Zubat that likes to use Toxic and quad resists our grass moves, as well as a surprisingly potent Purugly. We lose the first attempt before going back in with a Peachy Berry on, since Toxic was the reason we lost the first attempt. Tackle just doesn't do enough damage. Now, it is still a free hit knockout is Zubat with Tackle in the second attempt. However, it misses Toxic twice, which is convenient because this is pre-Gen 6 and Toxic isn't a guaranteed hit for poison types. Purugly does hit us with Fake Out and Scratch, but we can shred 2/3 of its health off with Magical Leaf, and although it tries to save itself with a berry and it does strike us once again, we soon bring her down. As I go through the forest, we have the Gardenia fight next. I think we will need return for that fight for sure, since Tackle is already proving to be pretty ineffective as a non-grass attacking move. And since she is going to resist our stab Magical Leaf, we don't have a choice. We have the Jupiter fight in the Eterna building after that, as she uses 2 poison types there. And then things don't get easier after that, as we will have the Ghost Gym and a rival fight straight after, where he'll have a flying type, a grass poison type and a fire type. Absolutely marvellous. On the subject of Gardenia then, we make our way into the gym and prepare to throw down with her. I think I worked out before the fight in this game that grass types aren't immune to powder moves in this gen, so that is going to be moderately annoying for sure, since her Roserade has Stun Spore. She begins with Turtwig, who takes over half its health from return and then goes for Reflect. Since she can't really hurt us with Razor Leaf, I decide to power up with Growth to wait out the Reflect, since I don't fancy facing the rest of her team with that up, and eventually I decide to shred Turtwig with Magical Leaf. She then sends Roserade out and we outspeed due to the sun being up and do over half her health in damage with return, but she eats her berry. We get hit with Stun Spore, but I had a Cherry Berry in place to stop that being an issue and we heal the paralysis. The sunlight fades, we get hit with Magical Leaf and counter with return, which puts Roserade into healing range, and Gardenia drops a super potion. We continue to hammer return attacks into Roserade, and 3 bring her down after a low damage roll on the second one. We have roughly about a quarter of our health left after this fight, going into the final battle with Cherubi. We crash a Magical Leaf into it, but she survives on red health and then counters with a Magical Leaf of her own. But we survive easily and then take her down with a second Magical Leaf. 2 badgers down. I have to head through the Galactic building next to go in and throw down with Jupiter, and this is going to be less than pleasant since she has a Skunk Tank which is going to resist our stab Magical Leaf, so we are going to be fighting uphill. Return is okay, but we are not a physical attacker and we're not quite over leveled enough yet that it doesn't matter. We lose a few attempts thanks to poison, but on the winning run we strike Zubat with return and have to shrug off a wing attack before taking it out with another return. Then it's the face off with Skuntank, and so we hit Leech Seed to do some chip damage and get health recovery. We get hit with Poison Gas, but our Berry removes the status condition. We start throwing returns, but we get hit with a Smoke Screen, which could be problematic. We do get Skuntank to use her Citrus Berry at least, and although she does try to poison us again, it does her no good, as we can do enough damage with our attacks to bring her down. I feel like I need to grow stronger for the next bits of the game, because things aren't about to get any kind of easier for sure. The Ghost Gym might be rough, since we will be relying on Magical Leaf, and Fantina has a Haunter that will resist the move, and there's also that aforementioned rival fight. Even after that, there's the Fighting Gym ahead, which actually might not be that bad, damaging Lucario aside, since it will resist our current moveset. On the subject of that Ghost Gym then, let's head on inside and make sure that we're good and ready to go. I did train up as much as I could and prepare to face off with Fantina. She begins with Duskull. We go for 2 growths and she goes to Future Sight before burning us with Will-O-Wisp. We do get hit with a Shadow Sneak, but shred the Ghost with a Magical Leaf attack to bring it down and put us 1 up in the fight. Miss Magius comes in, outspeeds and hits us with Shadow Ball before we leave her on red health with Magical Leaf. She eats the berry and Fantina drops a Super Potion, but our next Magical Leaf brings it down to put us 2 up. In the last match, we outspeed Haunter, thankfully, and shred it with Magical Leaf to bring it down in 1 hit, which I will confess to being moderately relieved about. 3 badges down. There is a rival fight as we leave town. We do lose the first attempt, but the second one goes better when I work something out. He begins with a Staravia, which means we are going to be intimidated for the full course of the fight. Now it does have moves which are problematic, but I start to power up with Growth and the Staravia begins to spam Double Team. Now that's just fine by me. I keep using Growths as it keeps using Double Team attacks, and I can do this all day. Well, 6 turns anyway. We eventually get hit with some wing attacks, but of course Magical Leaf doesn't miss, and so I just wanted to be strong enough to guarantee the kill, and eventually we get it, bringing the bird down and prompting the arrival of Monferno, who we down with a Magical Leaf. Roselia is trickier because that quad resists Magical Leaf and it survives on about 1/4 of its health before paralysing us with Stun Spore. We do get hit with a few Poison Sting attacks, but soon bring it down with another Magical Leaf. Weasel hits Pursuit, but it doesn't do much damage, and another Magical Leaf takes that out of the fight and gives us a win. Cherubi trivia then, as we travel towards the next gym. According to various Pokédex entries, sunlight will make them go red, and apparently they are very sweet and tasty, to the point that Starly tried to eat their small balls, since they're also filled with nutrients that they need for evolution. Cherubi can be spawned in all existing tree-based mechanics that can spawn Pokemon, such as honey trees, headbutt trees, berry trees, as well as the Legends Arceus tree shaking mechanic in all games where Cherubi is available. And let us not forget how horrible the mission is for this evolution line in Legends Arceus. In Pokemon Horizons, Brassius has a mug modelled after a Cherubi. It appears to be based on a cherry. Yum! Its name may be a combination of cherry, cherubic and ruby. In Veilstone, I explore around until I can fight Mei Li. I can never consistently get my head around the gym puzzle she has. It always takes me a few moments to get my bearing with it, and it's really not the worst gym puzzle in the game. The Mei Li fight does take a few attempts though. On the winning run, I get hit with Fake Out from Meditite, and then start to spam Growth a few times before we avoid getting hit with Rock Tomb, we get tagged with Drain Punch and then we strike it down with Magical Leaf. Lucario is second. This is problematic. We get hit with a Force Palm and 2 Drain Punches to put us on the brink of fainting, but we survive with 5 HP left, and 3 Magical Leaf attacks are enough to bring it down for the count. So we've got 1 left to fight through, and we duly one-shot Machoke with Magical Leaf for the 4th badge. Heading south now, and we've got a rival fight ahead before the next gym. We shouldn't have too much concern with the water gym, but I've been wrong before, and I hope I'm not going to be again. I am truly worried about the Cyrus fight after that, I know that much. Then we'll have another potentially tricky fight in the rival battle. Then there'll be the Steel Gym, followed by a barrage of Galactic Admin battles, and then the Ice Gym. No rest for the wicked. Anyway, rival fight in Pastoria City. Let's get this on. His team is slowly getting scarier, but all we can do is keep on hoping we'll have enough to get past him. We face Staravia and go for some growth attacks while it continually spams double team. I'm happy for him to do that all day, and eventually we strike Magical Leaf to bring it down. Versus Monferno, we do get hit with 2 Flame Wheels which hurt for sure and lower us onto red health, but we can wipe out most of its health with a Magical Leaf and then take it down on the next turn before we face Roselia. Magical Leaf isn't too effective, it does less than half. We get hit with a Magical Leaf in retaliation before we strike Return to finish that off. Weasley's last and we duly shred it with Magical Leaf to give us a win. Next then, we head into the Water Temple and get ready to face off with Crash Awake. His Gyarados might be an issue. Quagsire probably won't be, but I'd be worried about getting outsped by Floatzel for sure. Anyway, on that subject, we go for Growth versus Gyarados, using it twice before striking a Magical Leaf. We do get hit with some bite attacks, but we can weather them to a point, which is pretty much always handy. When he heals, we go for another Growth and then strike it down with a Magical Leaf to give us the first knockout of the battle. Floatzel does hit Ice Fang, but we survive and one-shot it with Magical Leaf. And then we take Quagsire out very quickly afterwards to give us the 5th badge that we need to move on. That one wasn't too bad. Let's head to the next fight. The Cyrus fight in Celestic Town is absolutely horrific. He is another who is set up for fighting grass types. We lose about a dozen attempts before finally we get a victory over him. And this is probably the easiest version of him. On the winning run, we crit a Magical Leaf on Sneasel, and I'm pretty sure this is the only reason we win. When we fight Golbat, we do less than half its health in damage with our return. We get hit with Air Cutters, which do decent damage to us. After 2 returns, he heals the Bat, but we can strike 2 more returns with favourable damage rolls to take it out and put us into the fight with Murkrow. Murkrow survives return and then hits a Drill Peck that does massive damage to us. We barely survive the attack and can just about take it out with return to give us a win. Too close. Things are only going to get worse, I know that. On the way to the next gym then, and I'll have another rival fight to go through before the gym. I feel like the Steel Gym could go either way. 2 of Byron's Pokemon take neutral damage from grass, so it might not be the end of the world. I'd be more worried about the rival fight. I checked, by the way, we have a Steel type Hidden Power. Could be useful, I think. I need to source where the Giga Drain TM is, I think as well, because although Magical Leaf doesn't miss, consistent health recovery might not be a bad way to go. It's on Route 209, by the way. This rival fight is going to be brutal, I can feel it, and it duly takes a few attempts before we become triumphant over him. His team is getting pretty scary at this point, but I have something approaching confidence. We go for Growth versus Staraptor, and then it starts using Double Team, which is handy because some runs we got hit with Aerial Ace. I did count this through, and it's 6 Growth attacks versus 6 Double Team attacks, so we are at full health when we finally fling an attack at Staraptor, which is something because those Aerial Aces hurt. Magical Leaf downs it. Heracross doesn't survive Magical Leaf and goes down in one hit, and Infinite doesn't survive one either, though it does hurt us bad with Flame Wheel. Roserade is 4th, and it is a 2-hit with Magical Leaf, though it does miss Grass Whistle on us, and things could have played out very differently there for sure. Floatzel is last. We tank a Pursuit and then down it with Magical Leaf to give us a victory over him. The difficulty is starting to crank up now. I had to do a lot of training ahead of the gym battle due to a trainer in the gym with a Caesar that I really struggled in getting past, which is worrying for sure and vaguely foreshadowing of the Aaron fight at the Elite Four. But eventually I make my way in, and I think we're going to have about as good a chance as we're going to have. Byron begins with Magneton and we start with Growth. We do get hit with Flash Cannon and go for another Growth. Magneton then survives our Giga Drain and goes for Metal Sound. Although Byron heals, I take the chance to go for a 3rd Growth and then we end it with Giga Drain. Versus Steelix, we go for another Growth, tank a Flash Cannon from that well-known special attacker Steelix and then blast it with Giga Drain, before at the very end versus Bastiodon we bring it down with Giga Drain for the badge. We have the fight with Commander Saturn next, and I'm a little leery, I'm not going to lie. We will be facing 2 poison types and a steel type, which is going to be somewhat worrying. Getting hit for super effective damage is never going to be pleasant, and we actually lose a few attempts, believe it or not. When we finally get success, we go for 2 Growths versus Golbat and then get struck with Air Cutter attacks. We hit return for about 2/3 of its health, and although we do eventually take it out, we've lost most of our health. Thankfully though, we can one-shot Toxicroak with Giga Drain, and that gives us a lot of health back, and we don't have to worry about being hit with something deadly. Bronzor misses a Rock Tomb on us, and we can duly bring it down with Giga Drain and Magical Leaf. We have the battle versus Mars next, and this one should be moderately more pleasant since her ace doesn't resist the grass type at least. So that's something. Always nice when we can use our strongest moves unhindered. So she begins with Golbat and we go for Growth while getting hit with Air Cutter. We do hit return and another Growth, but get confused by Supersonic and hit with another Air Cutter. We do hit ourselves in confusion and drop below 1/3 of our health before finally hitting another return to take Golbat out. We get a lot of health back from Bronzor when we put it on red health with Giga Drain. We go for another Growth and tank a Gyro Ball before we take it out with Magical Leaf. We face Pure Ugly. We get hit with the old 1-2 punch of Fake Out and Slash before we bring it down with Giga Drain and drop it where it stands to give us a win, and we can move on. We have got Snowpoint City to head to next, and the battle with Candice, the Ice-type gym leader. I'm not entirely thrilled at our chances here, but we will have to see how it goes. Things might be fine, we'll see. It does take a few attempts, but eventually we get a run where Sneasel starts hitting Aerial Ace and Ice Shard early. We do use our 2 Growths though, and then we hit that with a Giga Drain to suck health back. We have to tank a Blizzard from Frostlass, and then we one-shot that with Giga Drain, which massive relief. Piloswine goes down to Giga Drain before a Abomasnow survives Hidden Power and misses Focus Blast before she heals it, but it is in vain as 2 Hidden Powers bring the Abomasnow down for the 7th badge. Galactic HQ time then, and we have another Cyrus battle. Given how the last one went, I can't say I'm looking particularly forward to it, and we lose so many attempts at this fight. Even with nearly a 40 level advantage, we are struggling, and this is painful for sure. Eventually though, we get a run, and I thought it would never come. Here, we tank an Ice Punch from Sneasel, and then use Giga Drain, but without the growth boost, it survives. While Cyrus heals, we go for a growth, and then have to shrug off another Ice Punch before sucking its health out with Giga Drain. Crobat misses Supersonic, and we do over half its health with Return, before we then have to shrug a Poison Fang off and take it out with another Return. Honchkrow goes down to a single crit Giga Drain, and just like that, it's over. There is a Saturn fight before we leave the building. Always sure to be fun, this. You can tell my level of enthusiasm about this character in this run because I've not referred to him as Commander Wolverine in this video. Anyway, he begins with Golbat and we go for growth before being hit with Confuse Ray. We fight through to get another growth in effect, and then we get hit with Air Cutter. We hit ourselves in confusion before being slashed with another Air Cutter, and suddenly we're on red health. Golbat then survives Return and hits Poison Fang, but we survive on 9 HP and take it out with another Return. Toxicrow loses most of its health to Giga Drain before hitting Brick Break, but we can take that down with another Giga Drain to put us into the fight with Bronzor. And that also survives Giga Drain, but we shrug off the Gyro Ball and take it out with another Giga Drain. As I travel through Mount Coronet, let's talk about what's ongoing with the channel. So I'm writing this in mid-November, a few weeks after I finished recording the challenge. At the time of writing this, I was editing the Y with Clefairy challenge. At the time, there hadn't been any more plans to carry on with Master Showdown, or at least not to meet up and record anymore. There's still quite a few unedited, unaired, uncut footage floating around on my hard drive. One thing that did come into existence was the Fire Red with only normal types video. I mentioned it some time back, I wanted to do themed playthroughs. Not sure when these will go up, but I have got a Heart Gold with Ground Types 1 recorded, a Pokemon Y with Poison Types 1, and was also currently in the process of playing Sword and Shield Ultimate with Monkey Pokemon. And I was also recording the Christmas Challenge 2, which, incidentally, Crystal with a single Delibird. That is going to be the penultimate challenge of the year, the final one, the New Year one. I'm not 100% sure what it will be, or I wasn't at the time of writing. I'd already started recording it when it came to recording the audio. So it's pretty pointless me following the script and saying I have an idea what it probably will be. It's the last one of the year, it's a chance to have some fun. I have some ideas about what's going to happen in 2025 on the channel, but as always, send your challenges in for ideas. That came out wrong, for the first 7 generations. I know I have another Ultra Sun challenge for somewhere, but not sure where, because I do want to do an Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon playthrough at some point. I quite fancy doing it as a bird keeper, I'm not going to lie, we'll see. Let's Play wise, I was still uploading the RE6 stuff, but was running out of episodes for sure. And there was some TCG content sprinkled in here and there. I don't mind doing the TCG stuff because it's stuff I'd be doing anyway, since I'm trying to get a business going selling graded Pokemon cards on eBay. Maybe a good idea, maybe a questionable one. I'm not doing too bad so far. I sold a base set Blastoise recently. Anyway, at the top of the mountain, we have one of the single worst battles in the entire franchise to do as part of a single Pokemon run. Yep, it's that time for the Mars and Jupiter double battle, and of course we don't do this on the first attempt. It would be a rare thing where we do. The duo of Bronzor are out first, and we have to contend with the rivals Munchlax being less than helpful. It's never fun. Anyway, I need growths because there's too many poison types here. They always start with double screens, so that's not helpful. I keep spamming growth until the screens are ready to go down, and the fact they keep targeting the Munchlax is pretty helpful, so it does have some use as a neat shield. Eventually, when the screens go down, I Giga Drain one of the Bronzor out of existence, and handily, it was the one that puts Light Screen up. One of the Golbat is out next, and our Giga Drain does about 2/3 on it, which, not bad for being quad resisted. The Munchlax continues to be useful by soaking up attacks, including a Poison Fang from the Golbat and another extra sensory from Bronzor. we go for another growth before Munchlax finally goes down, and then we hidden power Golbat. Staraptor also takes down Bronzor with a takedown. Pure Ugly does hit us with an Aerial Ace, but we Giga Drain it down to turn the fight into a 2-on-1. That's how I like this battle. Golbat hits us with a Sludge Bomb, then survives our Giga Drain, but it gets finished off by Staraptor's takedown. At the end, we face Skunk Tank and we fire a Giga Drain at it, which brings it down very quickly to give us a long-awaited win. Distortion World Cyrus fight is next, and I'm not looking forward to it. A fear that turns out to be exceptionally valid as we lose so many attempts. At level 83, we keep getting our ass kicked, often not making it past the Houndoom at the start, and definitely not the Crobat who comes out second, so it very quickly turns out I cannot do it at this level. I head off and train up for a bit, hoping that it's going to make the difference. Houndoom is a problem because it has an array of super effective moves, and it can also potentially burn us, which doesn't help. We can't hit Crobat particularly hard, and we are slower, so that's also a problem. I just have to hope that levels will be enough to create a tipping point. I come back at level 92, and although there are a few efforts where things do go slightly better, it's still not enough to give us victory. We did get past Crobat on one attempt, only to get dispatched by Weavile, who is also an obstacle in a different way, and eventually I have to head to train again. At level 100 I make my way back to Cyrus, and this still isn't much of an improvement. The longer these attempts go on, it becomes more and more clear that I need things to go in a very specific way. And eventually, versus Houndoom, we go for 2 growth attacks, and then we get hit with Flamethrower and Will-O-Wisp, which burns us. We one-shot the Houndoom with Giga Drain to get some health back. Crobat strikes Cross Poison, but we one-shot that with a crit Hidden Power for a much welcome knockout. We then one-shot the Honchkrow with Giga Drain, so we are doing pretty well so far. Weavile hits Fake Out and Ice Punch, which in combination with the burn damage puts us on red health, but we one-shot that with Giga Drain. And finally, we are able to outspeed Gyarados and one-shot that with Giga Drain. Finally! It's a short trip over to go and do the Electric Gym next, and I'm reasonably confident. Well, why wouldn't I be, given we resist electricity? I'm sure there'll be problems, not least because the Jolteon likes to open with Thunder Wave, which can be irksome in single Pokemon runs. I know this, and yet it still costs me in the first attempt, so I change up for the second attempt. We go for Growth versus Jolteon and get paralysed, but we eat our berry to get rid of that, and then we take it out with Giga Drain. Raichu goes down to Giga Drain, and out next is the Luxray, and I'd be amazed if it survives either. And it doesn't. We take it down, and we do the same to the Electivire right at the end. We are travelling through Victory Road then, and let's talk about what's ahead. Before I do, I will say I did find a video where a YouTuber named Bardbreaker did take on this challenge about 4 years ago. Couldn't find anything else. About the closest I did find was someone beating BDSP with a single Cherim. I'm not sure if that would be easier or harder. And no, I'm not planning on doing any BDSP challenges. Anyway, there's a rival fight before we can head into the Elite Four, and not too worried. We might be okay. I mean, Staraptor, Infernape, Heracross, Roserade all might be rough, but we'll have to take a stab at it. Aaron is probably going to be absolutely horrific, since we won't fare fantastically well against stuff that quad resists Giga Drain and can hit us for super effective damage. Bertha, not too concerned about. Flint might be tricky since he has fire types, but he might be easier than Aaron. And Lucian might not be that much to worry about either. Cynthia could go either way. We have that rival fight at the Pokemon League then, and I'm pretty ready to go at him. I am a little worried about Staraptor using Brave Bird, but it never becomes an issue. Maybe he doesn't know it, I don't know. Let's get this on. So, we go for growth attacks, We do get 2 of them off before the 2 aerial aces we got hit with start to tell. We are looking a bit weak after them both, so I go for a Giga Drain on the 3rd turn to down the Staraptor. Heracross is next. It survives Giga Drain on a 1/4 and smashes us with close combat. I have to wonder if a heal is coming, so I go for another growth just in case, but we have to shrug a Night Slash off before going for a 4th growth and finally taking it out with Giga Drain. We outspeed Infernape and 1 hit with Giga Drain, so that's a relief. Roserade we go for Hidden Power on, and it survives on a Sliver while hitting Grass Whistle, and 3 poison jabs before finally we wake up on red health and hit another Hidden Power to take it out. That nearly went badly wrong. Floatzel goes down to Giga Drain and we get some health back at least. Snorlax at the end is a 1 hit with Giga Drain and we take the victory. 5 fights left to victory. Let's take a look at the stats we are working with at level 100. So our special attack is our best stat, comfortably. Everything else is in 3 figures, but pretty meh for sure. Speed and physical defence aren't too underwhelming, but they definitely could be better. I don't think this is going to be easy, but take your guesses on if I can do this or not. Right now, folks, let's do this. Bug Trainer Aaron is first, and well, look at the Poketch time in the corner of the screen. That's the time we made the first attempt. Let's not talk about how many attempts we took, but put it this way. The montage you are seeing is definitely the low light reel. I can't even use the phrase highlight reel because we lost so many efforts to Vespiquen, just purely because we cannot hurt her. It gets to the point where I have to drop Hidden Power in favour of Double Team. What feels like an eternity later, but was probably only about half an hour, we get this run. We go for some Double Teams versus Yanmega, and it does the same. We simply mirror each other for a bit. The worst part though is that it is getting faster thanks to Speed Boost. As we start to use growths, we get hit with a Bug Buzz, which hurts. We get our 6 growths up, so we are at +6 in special attack and +6 in evasion. We then hit Giga Drain to take Yanmega out. Vespiquen is a 2 hit with Giga Drain, and that is a huge sigh of relief because Defend Order and Pressure was problematic in some efforts. Scizor barely survives Giga Drain and Aaron heals it, but 2 more Giga Drains bring it down. Heracross is 4th and goes down to a single Giga Drain before Drapion is last, and we suck the life out of it with Giga Drain for a win. I'm not expecting Bertha to be that hard, but I still have to go 4th and battle her. We do have a huge advantage in theory, so although I shouldn't be too cocky, I do fancy my chances for sure. She begins with Whiscash and we go for some growth attacks while we get hit with the Sandstorm and a handful of Zen Headbutt attacks. 4 growths are what I go for before we hit Whiscash with Giga Drain. The rest of the fight then is a bit of a procession as we move on through. We down Gliscor with Giga Drain and then she sends Golem out 3rd, very brave, that also goes down to Giga Drain. And after that, so does Rhyperior in 4th. Hippowdon is last and the Giga Drain also brings that down for the count and we can move ourselves on into the next battle. Fire Trainer Flint is 3rd and I'm worried for what I consider to be obvious reasons. Now, this turns out to be founded as we have a series of battles similar to how the Aaron fight plays out, where I make probably the best part of half an hour's worth of attempts on him and a lot of the battles are lost in the same way. Usually Houndoom wrecking us with fire attacks while we try to set up. Eventually we get a run where we can power up versus Houndoom, where we get 4 double teams and 4 growths up. I would have liked to have gone for more, but we did get hit with a sun boosted flamethrower from Houndoom and my nerve went a little. I wanted to play it safe and we strike it down with Giga Drain. Flareon is 2nd, it survives Giga Drain on a 1/4, but our health is back up to max and it's handy because the overheat it lands wipes out pretty much all our health bar 12 solitary points. It misses quick attack, we finish that with Giga Drain. Rapidash is a single hit takeout with Giga Drain, and we are slowly getting health back now for sure. Magmortar survives Giga Drain and manages to hit a flamethrower that puts us back onto red health before we take it out with a Giga Drain attack. And last is Infernape. It misses Flare Blitz, which would likely have ended us for sure, and then we bring it down with Giga Drain for the win. On to the fourth member then, Psychic Trainer Lucian, and I feel like this is likely going to be nowhere near as bad as the other 2 out of 3 previous battles. I even feel pretty confident as we walk into the room and engage him in combat. Versus Mr. Mime, we start to spam double team attacks while it goes for dual screens. We go for 4 double teams and then a few growths, but it does start landing psychic attacks on us, which very much not good. And there's even a point where we get dropped into red health, so I have to go on the offensive and quickly, or risk defeat, and we hurt the psychic type with Giga Drain and drop it onto red health. I know a heal is coming, so I go for another growth, and this time we take it out with Giga Drain. Espeon is second, it misses Signal Beam, whew, and then gets dropped by Giga Drain. At least we are getting most of our health back in the exchange. We go for another growth versus Bronzong while it goes for Calm Mind, and then our Giga Drain does less than half, which not ideal at all. I go for another growth while it goes for another Calm Mind. Then I use Return to drop it below the half health mark onto about a third. We do get blasted with a crit Psychic, which puts us in red health, and then I take my chances on Giga Drain. We take it out from there. Alakazam is fourth, it misses Focus Blast and we drop it with Giga Drain. Right before, at the end, we outspeed Gallade and drop it with Giga Drain. 4 down. Alrighty then, let's get that Cynthia fight done. I know she has a rep for being tough, but I can't possibly believe she'll be harder than Flint or Aaron. And you know what? Have a look at my very first attempt and see how it plays out. See how wrong or how right I was. Spiritomb is first and we start to spam double team. I want 6 of them for this fight for sure. We are lucky she misses 4 out of 5 silver wins while we're powering up and there's no Omni Boost. We do get hit by some other attacks, mainly a Dark Pulse, but when we have our 6 double teams up, I start to go for some growths, eventually arriving at the point that we are strong enough that we can one-hit Spiritomb with a Giga Drain. Not as easy as it sounds, it has decent defences, I think. Togekiss survives Giga Drain and hits Aura Sphere, which isn't going to miss, but it doesn't do too much damage and we can take it out with a second Giga Drain. We hit Roserade with Return, it does 3/4 of her health, but we then do get hit with Toxic, which might be an issue. Another Return takes Roserade down. Garchomp is fourth, it misses Dragon Rush, and we down her with a Giga Drain. And although the Toxic is sapping us, we are at least recovering health every turn, so that's nullifying it to a point. Milotic is a one-hit with Giga Drain, which that is great because if we didn't one-hit it, we'd probably be facing either an Ice Beam or a Mirror Coat. Lucario is last, we hit Giga Drain and it survives on red health before hitting Aura Sphere. Cynthia heals her Pokemon, we hit another Giga Drain and this time we get a high damage roll and we take Lucario down to give us the win. And just like that, we've beaten the champion. I certainly wondered if we'd ever get here, but we can move on, we can enter the Hall of Fame and we can draw a line under the run. Well, that was certainly brutal at the back end of the game. Not that I expected anything less when I saw our moveset and our stats, but hey, we made it out of there, and just in time for the festive season. Thanks for watching, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, drop down a comment, all that sort of stuff that helps the channel grow. It'd mean a lot to me. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we do the festive one. I'm going to take on a Pokemon Crystal challenge and it's going to be with a single Delibird. It is that time of year after all. So yeah, if you've got any ideas for future challenges, let me know. As I said earlier, I've got some ideas for 2025, but always grateful for more possible material. Same with the team themed runs. If you have any ideas for that, let me know. Going to jump off here, folks. So yeah, thanks for watching, have a great day and see you next time. Bye bye, so long, see ya. Ta-ra.